At our family barbecue, my mother, Marjorie, looked me dead in the eye and said, "If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice." The table roared with laughter. My aunts, my brother Eric, my sister Clara, everyone chuckled as if it were the funniest thing they'd ever heard. Everyone except me. I quietly raised my hot dog like a toast and said, "Challenge accepted." They thought I was joking, but something inside me snapped that day. For 29 years, I had been the family's invisible backbone, the one who kept birthdays remembered, doctor's appointments scheduled, clothes washed, bills paid, and crises averted. I had been the planner, the caretaker, the fixer, and in return, I was the punchline. That night, I packed everything into 2 suitcases. I placed my house key on the kitchen counter. No note, no goodbye, just silence, and then I left. I drove 3 hours away to a quiet lakeside cabin I had found through a local listing. The first thing I did when I arrived was turn off my phone, block every number, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for nearly 3 decades. For the first week, just like Mom predicted, no one called. No one texted. The silence was deafening, but also freeing. But in week 2, reality hit my family. Eric called 47 times in a single day. He couldn't figure out how to run the washing machine. His work clothes piled into a mountain of mildew until he finally admitted defeat and bought new underwear instead of learning how to use the spin cycle. Week 3, Clara stormed into my old job sobbing, begging for my new number. Her family emergency wasn't a death, an accident, or even a crisis. She didn't know how to renew her car registration, the same one I had handled for her every year since she turned 16. When my coworkers told her I'd moved out of state, she collapsed in the parking lot, wailing that she didn't even know where the DMV was. She later ended up paying $300 to some shady guy who promised to handle it. Spoiler, he didn't. By month 2, my father Richard was unraveling. He drove through every apartment complex in the city asking if anyone had seen me. He had never realized I was the one who managed his blood pressure medication schedule. Without me, he forgot his pills for weeks, and one dizzy spell landed him in urgent care. The doctor asked him if he had family support. Dad just looked at the floor and muttered, "She's away." And then there was Mom, Marjorie, the queen of composure. She crumbled hardest of all. She forgot her own sister's birthday for the first time in 40 years. At Sunday dinner, my aunt lashed out, "How could you forget, Marjorie? You've never once missed it." Mom stammered. She didn't admit the truth, that I had always been the one reminding her. Soon she was paying a professional organizer $200 a week to keep track of appointments and bills. But after 2 weeks, even the organizer quit. Exasperated, she keeps asking me to do things the way Lena used to. I'm not Lena. The cracks were spreading wider. The annual Christmas cookie exchange, my pride and joy, descended into chaos. No one knew the rules of the gift swap. 3 families arrived on the wrong day. Guests brought store-bought cookies instead of homemade ones. My aunt called Mom in tears. "It's a disaster, Marjorie. The whole tradition is ruined." Meanwhile, Eric had resorted to dragging his laundry back to Mom's house, only to flood the laundry room when he put dish soap in the washer. Clara missed not 1, not 2, but 3 car payments because she had no one texting her reminders. Her car was repossessed right out of her driveway. Dad missed another appointment, this time with his cardiologist. The hospital called Mom, scolding her for neglect. For the first time, she broke down, sobbing into the phone. It wasn't me. It was always her. She was the one who kept us together. While they flailed, I thrived. At first, I joined a pottery class at the community center. My hands shaped clay into bowls and vases, each spin of the wheel grounding me in peace I had never known. I hiked in the mornings, journaled in the evenings, and, for the first time, lived according to my own calendar. But pottery was just the beginning. With no one draining my time and energy, I focused on the career I had always put on hold. I updated my resume, took a few certification courses I had been too busy to finish before, and applied to jobs I once thought were out of my league. 2 months later, I landed a position at a major IT company. The salary, triple what I'd ever made before. For the first time, I could afford to dream bigger. I worked hard, and my bosses noticed. Without my family constantly calling, begging, and piling responsibilities on me, I poured my full attention into my job. I quickly climbed the ranks, earning bonuses and recognition for projects I led. Within a year, I bought my own home in a quiet, posh neighborhood, a modern townhouse with big windows and a balcony overlooking the city. I also treated myself to something I had always denied myself before, a sleek new car. Every time I slid into the driver's seat, I felt a rush of independence. But my biggest change wasn't material. It was emotional. I started dating again, carefully this time. And that's when I met Ethan. Ethan was nothing like the men I had dated before. He had a solid career of his own in finance, but more importantly, he respected me. He didn't expect me to mother him, fix his problems, or run his life. Instead, he encouraged me to pursue my passions. When I told him about my pottery hobby, he surprised me with a top-of-the-line wheel for my studio space. When I worked late nights on a project for the IT company, he cooked dinner and left it waiting for me. He didn't see me as a convenience, he saw me as a partner. For the first time in my life, I was cared for instead of being the caretaker. Weekends with Ethan were filled with joy. Road trips in my new car, wine tastings, evenings on my balcony where he'd pull me close and say, "Lena, I love the way you've built your life. You're incredible." And you know what? For the first time, I believed it. It took 3 months for Mom to track me down. She found my old college roommate Hannah on LinkedIn and begged for my number. When she finally called, her voice was raw with desperation. "I was wrong," she whispered through tears. "We fell apart without you. The house is a disaster. Your father can't even find his socks. Eric's been wearing the same shirt for 4 days because he flooded the laundry room. Clara lost her car. Lena, please come back. We need you. I listened in silence for 5 minutes. My heart pounded. This was the same woman who had looked me in the eye and declared that no one would notice if I disappeared. Finally, I said what I had been waiting to say. Challenge completed, Mom. Turns out people do notice when I disappear. They just never bothered to notice when I was there, doing everything for them. And then I hung up. 3 months later, my family is still struggling. Eric, at 32, has moved back into my parents' house, defeated by the basic responsibilities of adulthood. Clara is taking the bus to work, embarrassed every time her coworkers ask where her car went. Dad now has a visiting nurse assigned to manage his medications because Mom couldn't keep track. And Marjorie, the once proud matriarch of our family, now sits at her kitchen table with piles of unopened mail. Unable to stop crying over the daughter she mocked and drove away. As for me, I am still here, by the lake when I want peace, in the city when I want energy, pottery wheel spinning under my hands on weekends, and thriving at my IT career during the week. I bought a home in a posh neighborhood. The first night I unlocked the door, I stood in the middle of my living room, barefoot on polished wooden floors, and whispered to myself, this is mine. I built this. I drove my new car down winding streets, music blasting, windows down, tasting independence in the air. Every mile I drove was another reminder that I was no longer trapped. And then there was Ethan. For once, love wasn't another burden or responsibility, it was joy. He wasn't looking for a maid, a mother, or someone to solve his problems. He wanted me. Together, we built routines that filled me with gratitude. Morning coffee on the balcony, him reading financial reports while I checked emails for my next project. Weekends exploring galleries, hiking trails, or just curling up on the couch, laughing at movies until midnight. But the biggest freedom wasn't the money, the house, or even Ethan. It was the silence. No buzzing phone, no guilt-tripping voicemails, no one banging on my door demanding I fix their problems before sunrise. My time was mine, my choices were mine, my life, finally, was mine. I was no longer Lena, the family's doormat. I was Lena, the woman who walked away, built a new life, and discovered a happiness that no one could take credit for but me. And that freedom, it was worth everything. 2 years passed. My life blossomed in ways my old self could never have imagined. I earned 2 major promotions at my IT company, eventually becoming a project lead. My townhouse appreciated in value, my pottery became more than a hobby, I started selling pieces online and at weekend markets, and Ethan and I began talking about marriage. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving. Then one crisp autumn afternoon, as I was leaving work, I saw a familiar group of faces waiting near the lobby doors. My family, Mom, Dad, Eric, and Clara stood together like a ragged little army. They looked smaller somehow, worn down by years of struggling without me. Mom's hair was grayer, her shoulders hunched. Eric's shirt was wrinkled, his face pale from stress. Clara looked hollow, like she hadn't slept in days. When Mom saw me, tears filled her eyes. Lena, she whispered, stepping forward. We wanted to see you. To tell you how sorry we are. We didn't realize how much you did. We didn't realize how much we needed you until you were gone. Her voice cracked. Please, come home. We can be a family again. I looked at them, the family that once laughed when my mother mocked me, the people who treated me as their servant, who only noticed my absence when their world fell apart. Behind me, Ethan stepped out of the building. He slipped his hand into mine, warm and steady, grounding me in the life I had built for myself. I took a deep breath. I don't hate you, I said softly. But I can't go back. That life, being your doormat, your fixer, your invisible backbone, it almost destroyed me. I finally built a life where I'm seen, valued, and loved for who I am. I won't give that up. Mom sobbed openly now. Dad lowered his gaze, ashamed. Clara started to speak, but I raised my hand. I hope you figure things out, I continued. I truly do, but I won't be the glue that holds you together anymore. That job isn't mine to carry. I squeezed Ethan's hand and stepped past them. For the first time in my life, I didn't look back. As the automatic doors closed behind me, I felt a surge of freedom, stronger than the day I first left. Because now, I knew this wasn't just a temporary escape, it was permanent. I wasn't their caretaker anymore. I was Lena, the woman who rebuilt her life from ashes, who turned pain into strength, who found love, success, and peace on her own terms. And I would never, ever let anyone take that from me again. If this story resonated with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story like this. Your support means the world, it helps us share more stories of strength, survival, and taking back your life. So subscribe now and join me on the next journey.